Why should businesses foster behavioural change? What's the benefit in business bringing in corporate social marketing programs?
I think fostering business or fostering behavior change is sort of core to business success. If you're going to produce the products, for example, that are designed to promote health or to promote safety or security or to equip people to say to make their homes safer, if you're going to succeed in selling those products, you probably also need to be part of influencing what the consumers know, think, and feel about that product and its value to their lives. So you play, I would argue, you play a role in promoting behavior change, whether you acknowledge it or not. And it's probably valuable to bring it to the forefront and know that you're doing it and doing it well.
Why should companies be involved in social change? What's the benefit to society of companies getting involved in this space?
The way we approach it, we see a win-win-win situation, a knockoff of the proverbial triple bottom line, that if a company is engaged in supporting socially responsible behavior change, that the opportunity is present for the company to benefit, for example, by selling more product or fostering brand loyalty. Consumers will benefit by being equipped and supported to embrace behavior change that they recognize and attach importance to, and societies will benefit if people are healthier, more financially successful, more productive in their lives. So as we see it, it's a win-win-win for business, consumers, and society.
Well, how do you go about changing people's behaviour?
A fish rots from the head, as they say, and Ogilvy has talked for many years about the importance of leadership communications. It's actually one of the leaders in leadership communications. Having leaders act and believe what they say, so actually walking the talk, and also reporting the talk and reporting the walk back to employees is an important part of the communications loop. But actually living the values of the organisation, it may sound a little bit Pollyanna, but employees can pick at 100 metres a senior executive who's saying one thing about the values of the organisation and acting completely differently. And actually these days that's a high wire act. That behaviour gets called out increasingly, even in organisations that you think are very right-brained organisations, mining companies, construction companies, engineering companies. So living the values are pretty important, and that's got to come from the top, and that's how you do get behavioural change in organisations.
Can profit and purpose ever coexist?
Definitely. If you look at why companies were established in the first place, they had a purpose. For a company, for example, like Cadbury, which is a well-known example, or GE or Unilever, they were established to bring products to the community in a safe and an economic manner. When you think about, that was 150, 200 years ago. When you think of what companies are doing today, it's sort of back to the future. That's what they're wanting to do. And some of the best managed companies in the world offering the highest sustainable returns are companies that say, we want to be here for the long term. And if we do, we've got to manage ourselves in a responsible manner. So our customers, our lawmakers, our regulators will allow us to keep operating to generate profit for shareholders.
Why should companies pursue a CSR agenda?
Look, I believe that a company that is thinking strategically is looking a long time ahead, a decade, maybe 2 decades, and in some cases for some of the bigger companies, 3, 4, 5 decades ahead. And they're looking at the societal conversation that is going on. Society does want social cohesion. They do want things to be environmentally better. They are concerned about what's happening societally and, as I say, environmentally. And so a company that is staying in tune and wants to stay in tune with the customers, past, present, but most importantly future customers, has to think about these things in a long term. That way they can tune their commercial strategy, they can tune their marketing strategy, and they can then work tactically as well. But you can only do it within a strategic context.
How does a company embark on this journey? What are the pitfalls?
Okay, if you start from the word go, assuming they haven't ever embarked on this sort of journey, then obviously hiring someone in like Ogilvy to help them. But certainly there's a lot of talent, there's a lot of knowledge out there. And then the key thing I would say is not to start unless you are authentically going to start. And it needs, I believe, buy-in from the board, buy-in from the chief executive and a number of the other chief executives. And if the company is large enough, a few of the staff have got to be understanding. But the moment you start speaking on corporate social responsibility, the expectations of you as a company are going to go up. So you better be authentic. And that's why I say, I would counsel, if you're not authentic, don't start. study a bit more.
What sort of return do you think companies get on an investment in CSR?
I think there's two parts to this. I think there's certainly a dividend in terms of how people perceive the company. I think culturally that you are more likely to create an environment where people feel good about who they work for. As I say, I think the economics of this though are pretty compelling, and the fundamental is around staff retention and turnover. You know, the reality for most businesses is that their most expensive cost is labour, and a subset of that is when you have to replace leaving staff. That's really expensive. Your most valuable resources are people who know the business, who stick around, who are valued in the business and valuable contributors to it. Now our thesis is that where those people are given a meaningful opportunity to contribute to society, and many of them are saying that's what they want to do, then you've got a real economic advantage.
You've come from a senior role in one of Australia's top banks. Have you noticed that a corporate Australia at the top level is becoming more involved in this?
I think we're getting there. I think the truth is in Australia we've still got a way to go. I think in many cases, unfortunately, there's a gap between rhetoric and reality. I've learnt to be a bit of a sceptic about those companies that invest heavily in sustainability and tick the box reporting. But I'm an optimist on this. I think there are enough examples of corporates where there are leaders who have a long-term vision about what's possible in the company, who by their own practical example are engaging in the community and encouraging their teams, their employees to do so, committing towards long-term strategic, philanthropic and sustainability initiatives. And so I think it's fair to say at the moment these are probably the exception rather than the rule, but I think the key driver in that is young people, talented people coming through, and we're hearing of examples again and again where some of these initiatives are coming from teams in big organisations who are saying we want this to happen, and where leadership is responsive to that, then you see change.